Okay, so I kind of apologize, but kind of not, for the clickbaity title, because this is real life. This is not fantasy. I found a thing. And it's a weird thing, because in the world of cameras, in the world of camera talk, it's effectively resurrected an old dinosaur. So pause me, go grab a tea or a coffee, and let's sit down and talk, because this is strange. It's strange, but yeah, go and grab that and then come back and let's do this. Okay, so the culprit in question today is the Sony 50mm f1.8 nothing lens. It's not a G or anything like that. It's just their standard full frame 50mm, cheapest and nastiest one on the Sony lineup. And I shouldn't actually say nasty because it's never actually hurt anyone, but it's quite a nice lens. But as you can tell, it's pretty cheap. It's just like plastic, as you can see here. There's no aperture rings, not that I've ever used an aperture ring in my life, and I don't really know anyone who does. So if you are one of those people, then let me know down below, because I don't want to have offended you accidentally. But you get the point. It's just pretty basic, and I will say I've never liked it. I've had it for quite some time now. I can't remember when I bought it. It was several years ago. And the reason I've never liked it, it's not because f1.8, because yeah, it looks excellent, but it's always had a very loud focusing motor, and it was breathing in and out. I'll show you in a second what I mean, but it was always struggling. It was like it was constantly having a hangover, because it was just all over the place. Sometimes it would focus on the person's nose, sometimes the side of their cheek, sometimes it would focus on a bird off in the distance. Like, you get the point, it's pretty crap. But then I bought the a7IV, and then I watched a Chris Brockhurst video on this lens. I thought, oh, is it true? Like, is it good again? I don't know. So I proverbially dusted it off, took it out, and I was pretty surprised. It's like it works all of a sudden. Now I'm going to show you what I mean. So let's go over there and I'll show you exactly what I mean. We'll just do a couple little focus tests around here, and then we'll go outside and I'll show you a direct comparison with the autofocus. All right, so excuse the budget camera angles, but I'm just going to show you what I mean. This is purely a sound test to show you the focusing motor and the reasons why it's going to be so much better on the a7IV. Now this is the original Sony a7 body. Did that do something? No. Oh, I recorded on this. Didn't even know this did record. Anyway, let's have a look. So, just focusing on random things. That's f1.8. Now if I change it, f2.8. Exactly the same. See? If I point at you, so I'm going to take a picture of you, so I hope you're ready. I hope you stood still for such a long time then, because that's genuinely what I mean. Now that is, as you can see, how loud it is, and how I really hope that the microphone's picking it up. But I'm going to switch over to the a7IV and I'm going to show you exactly the difference, because it's like chalk and cheese. So let's have a look. Okay, so now we're on the a7IV. I'm going to show you what I mean. So f1.8, I'm going to show you. Ready? Okay, now I'm going to take a picture of you. Okay, ready? Smile. That was 3 shots. Proverbial shots. I didn't actually take a picture of you, so you're all good. But you can see what I mean. Now if I bump it up to f2.8, didn't warn you there, sorry. Ready? See what I mean? It's just, it even sounds different. You ready? So this is what I mean. So let's just jump back and get the better angle going, and then we'll discuss this a bit more. All right, so I hope that was a pretty decent comparison, even if the camera angle was a bit low budget. But apologies, I really you know, it made sense when you saw the two together just in an area where I could just do some focus tests. Now, I'm not sure why this happens. I really don't get it. And before everyone jumps on and tells me that, oh, this is because of the new sensor, new camera body, and the autofocus systems, look, I completely agree with you to a point, okay? And this is the point that I want to make. You ready? Now, I'm going to let you make your mind up on why this happens because I can't figure it out. But as I said, talk about it down here. So, everything lightning fast, as I said, but as soon as you move to f7.1, this happens. F9, F10. It's like going back to the dark ages of photography. It completely falls apart. And I can't explain it. 7.1. But then you get back underneath it. F4. Everything goes back to normal. So it's a very strange thing. So if you know why this is happening and why it's almost more or less been resurrected, then do let me know down below in the comment section, because I think that this is very strange, and it has really, like, this camera has brought the use of this lens and its value back to life. And on top of that, the picture quality that comes out of this camera with this lens is incredible. So let's jump into the computer and I'll show you what I mean, and then we will go outside, I promise, and I'll show you the autofocus tests outside, and you can make a decision for yourself just how much better this is on this camera. Let's do it. All right, so just jumping into Lightroom here, I'm just going to be showing you some raw photos that I took with this lens at a recent shoot. So as an example, with this photo quite here is, as I said, it's in raw mode, so I haven't actually edited that. It is at f3.5, 50mm. We can zoom in and we see that their face is really nice, quite sharp. There isn't any real issues that we're looking at. In terms of chromatic aberration, I mean, I can't really find any, to be completely honest. I have kind of looked. We're getting really nice out of focus areas. The bokeh is relatively pleasant considering what you are paying for this lens and the fact that it has been just sitting gathering dust for so long. And the sun flare is looking rather respectable, I must say. Now, as I said, this is at 3.5. So if we go and find one that is f1.8. So this one here, we can see shot f1.8, ISO 320, 1/400 of a second. Everything's shot in manual, so no aperture priority here, but you can see the face is very much in focus. It's nice and clear. Now, this isn't edited, I really must stress. This is just straight out of camera with the lens corrections turned on, as I said. If we do go and turn them off, the only real difference is the vignetting, as we see right here. In terms of the out of focus areas, it's still looking pretty nice, pretty respectable, and the subject is all in focus. I don't really see any sort of weird fringing or banding in the areas behind her. And, you know, really considering that this is, as I keep mentioning, a $400 lens, you are getting a lot of bang for buck, especially on the Sony a7IV. So now going into an edited shot, we can see right here, as it is already zoomed in, shot at f2.8, 1/800 of a second, ISO 100. The subject's face and eyes are completely in focus. Everything is really crispy, super sharp. The lens flare at f2.8 is really quite pleasing. And if we look at the out of focus areas, the bokeh is looking as good as I've seen in any other camera and lens combination, to be completely honest. We are getting a little bit of weird sort of fringing in the background, but this is pixel peeping. So if you're looking at it from a normal person perspective and looking at the photo in its entirety, you're not really going to pick up on some of these things. Now, if you are purchasing and using this lens, seeing things like this really isn't going to upset you too much, in my opinion, because, you know, in comparison to the Zeiss 50mm 1.4 or any of the other competitors, it is holding up extremely well. We can see all the tiny small details in the glasses on her hand. It's looking very respectable. Now lastly, in a very high contrast environment, this edited picture I just want to show you came out super nice, super nice. We can have a look here. Again, everything super tack sharp and in focus. This is shot at f2.5 and 1/4000th of a second, but we're still getting some very nice bokeh in the background. We're not getting any sort of weird fringing in this one, as you can tell. And the subject is completely in focus, and we are getting some really nice color rendition here. Alright, so let's do some autofocus tests. Now the camera is just set to standard tracking and it's not in any super responsive mode, but we'll just see how sticky the autofocus is on this lens. Eyes are nice and clear. If we step out of frame and jump back in, how quick is it to reacquire? See, it's not doing too bad. There's a little bit of breathing, but for a $400 lens, it's really looking quite respectable on this camera body. Jumping out of frame and jumping in again. You can see it's quite natural, it's not rushed. Now for comparison's sakes, we are shooting on the original A7 body. It is at the exact same settings, so f2.8 1/320th of a second, because I don't have ND filters for this lens, and ISO 100. Now, as you can see, I'm walking a lot slower just to try and give this camera a fighting chance. And we're not, there we go, so we have got a little bit of target acquisition. Going on to a second test, because why not, I have dropped it down to f2.8 and 1/500th of a second, just because the previous image, even though they were the same settings, was completely blown out, and just to see what happens now. And it's just not liking it at all. And we're getting nothing. We're getting nothing here. So this is just a great little indication of how much better this lens is working on the A7, and just so effectively, as I said at the start, resurrecting this lens. Alright, we have come to the end of the video. I really hope I was able to shed some light on this really cheap little budget lens. It was a bit of a slow burner. Like, you don't normally buy a lens and think, in 5 years, I'm going to really enjoy this. You sort of buy it to enjoy it in the moment. But for this, you just had to wait for the Sony a7IV to come out for us to really enjoy it. Now, this has not been a review. It was never meant to be a review. It's more just to highlight that if you have this lens sitting around, or if you've been thinking about getting this lens because you've just recently upgraded to the Sony a7IV, then hopefully I've been able to sway you up until at least f7.1. But if you do want to see a really great review of this lens, then Chris Brockhurst does a fantastic one. I'll link it up there so that you can check it out, because that's what triggered me to pull this one off the shelf. Anyway, that's enough chat. I hope you have a lovely day wherever you are in the world, and yeah, don't sit on this, like literally and metaphorically. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.